Hey there, welcome to Starla's Art Studio, and today, as the second video of the new year, I wanted to try something new, and it is a challenge video. I call it the Alternate Universe Challenge. The way it works is that I show you guys my OC, or original character, Starla, as being drawn right now, and I'm showing her in her normal form and style. Then I draw her in 5 other different versions as if she was in other universes. And when I say that, I kind of mean like as if she was in other dimensions, like if she was a toddler, or a robot, or a medieval princess. I got the idea for this challenge because at first I wanted to do a style challenge video because I see them like pretty much everywhere and I wanted to try it, but after a while, like a period of maybe 2 weeks or so, thinking about what styles I would pick and what series or anything I might choose, I noticed that some people were making like AU or alternate universe fan art versions of characters from games and shows and stuff, so I kind of got inspired by that to make that into an art challenge. I honestly don't know if this is a common challenge or if it used to be and I just came up with it after everyone else did it, but I wanted to do it anyways, and if I did make it up and it became somewhat popular, it'd actually be pretty cool to see who else would try this. Since I've seen so many people with different like OCs or avatars or just characters that represent like what they look like or their personality or whatever, this could actually have several different forms and versions that could actually be pretty fun to do. So I chose 5 different versions of Stella for this challenge. The first one that's currently being shown is wee little toddler Stella. To make her look like a toddler instead of teen like in her original design, I shortened her limbs or her arms and legs and made them look rounder and nubby. When I drew her hands, I made them look kind of rounded with chunky little fingers. I made her face round. I made a small or pretty much invisible neck, and her tummy is a bit plump. For her head and face, I made it much rounder and a bit wider than before, with much larger eyes. Because she's supposed to be younger here, I made her hair shorter since it would have had less time to grow, but because she's not a baby, it's long enough to make that somewhat iconic little ponytail with a little blue hair tie. She also still has the little bangs, but she does have a little hairpin with a star on it. I decided to keep her outfit the same, with a little t-shirt, skirt, short leggings, and little flats. I wanted her to look happy and energetic, so I put her in a "Hiya, I'm a little airplane, yeah" kind of pose with a bright little face just reeking joy, and just an overall pose of energy and life. To make sure I kept Stella's original colors, I made a little nubby Stella that I kept in the corner to act like a little color palette so I could use the same colors for each drawing, but occasionally change the tint or shade when I needed to. For this version of the redraw, I changed the colors to seem more like baby colors by making them lighter and softer. Originally, Starla was a colored stick person that I have shown in my very first video on the channel, but was redrawn to look more humanoid as the mascot for the channel and for just drawings in general. Whoops, little Starla here is pretty much done. I tried to make sure I used a lot of warm and light baby colors to have this little cozy but happy and bright feel to it. The second AU version of Starla will be an armored warrior version of her. For some reason, I forgot to turn the background back onto visible, so it looks a bit weird until I start doing the line art. But anyways, if you noticed, it took a minute for me to get the pose that I wanted for this version. It was going to be like an action pose, but after trying 2 different partial poses, I went for a more confident standing pose with a scepter in her right hand. It was going to be a spear, but I accidentally made it too wide, so that's how it turned out. Back when I was trying to figure out what 5 AU versions to do for this one, I came up with 15 different versions I could have done, but I just couldn't decide which ones to choose, so after a few emails with my bro, I ended up with these 5 neat versions for you guys to see. Around this point of the drawing, I was designing the armor, and just like the last AU version, I wanted to include a little star because of Starla, so I put one on top of her scepter, on the front of her armor, and on top of her boots. Because I wanted to have the little star theme pretty consistent in her armor, I added a few points on different parts of her armor, like on her arms and legs and her boots. I've had some previous experience with drawing armor because I used to work on a comic series that had aliens and kingdoms and such, and it was a comedy adventure kind of series. It had a pretty good story that I still kind of want to continue working on. The art was pretty good for being done a few years ago, but I was only able to make about 2 issues with about 20 pages each. But from that experience, I was able to practice armor because 3 of the main antagonists had armor as part of their outfits, and they showed up often, so I got used to drawing them over and over again. Ever since then, I really enjoyed character design and concepts for different things like animations, games, and comics, which are actually all things that I either have been working on or am trying to work on. I've had a lot of fun with these different projects, and I think I might show you guys in the future. One of my current projects include an animation that I've been trying to finish since about 2016 that I hope to post very soon. I've always been interested in the hand-drawn look of animation than the bone tool, tweening, or section-like animation. So that's usually why they take longer, but there's just this freedom that I feel that comes with hand-drawing it. They come out looking more expressive and flowy. Of course, having this channel and drawing people so much kind of help a lot with being able to draw simpler looking people in different positions, stances, and angles. So anyways, back to the drawing. I'm working on the colors, and similar to the first one where I changed Starla's colors to seem more baby-like and cheerful, I changed her colors to be a bit more serious and I guess a little bit more on the darkish side. For example, her fuchsia color was made to look more like a dark magenta, while her lighter blue is more of a dark turquoise, and her shirt color becomes more of a purple, though her eyes and hair stay pretty much the same. I also really changed her position drastically from before. I'm actually going to make a video about how positions can show a character's personality and attitude through the way they stand and their facial expression. But just as a quick example, the warrior star here has more of a stable pose with both feet placed firmly on the ground with a very confident stance. She has a serious facial expression that shows determination and focus. All of that really come together and give an overall air of, I guess you can say, authority and focus, and the colors bring in that mood that's much less cheerful and energetic as little Starla. I think I got a little excited when I got to the part with the hair, but I just couldn't help it. I've done projects with a lot of detail in hair or fur, and I guess I just got kind of lost in the artwork when I was doing it. I thought this one was pretty fun because I got to add a bunch of detail in the shading and even some shines for her hair and her armor. Like I mentioned earlier, her spear kind of looks more like a special scepter of some sort, so she seems sort of like a ruler than some soldier or something. The last thing that I kind of do with all of my art now, which is just using the clipping mask function on layers in Photoshop, I like to change the color of the lines on the art. I really just like how it looks when it's done. When I first drew her, the other action poses that I was going to use were like that because I was thinking about making her like into a ninja or assassin of some kind, but she became more of an armored warrior, so I just went with that. I also gave her the name Slashing Star that I was going to use for those other forms, but I just kept it to use for this version. So, numero 3 in this group is if Starla was a guy. So, I was already pretty intrigued by the idea because everything about her design was a pretty girly girl kind of character, so changing the entire design really got my train of imagination running. Of course, I was going to have similar colors, so it wouldn't seem like a completely different character, by keeping the blondish hair, green eyes, and skin a kind of reddish color, and with similarly colored clothes. In the speed paint I did around Christmas time, called A Christmas Starla, I drew Stella with these kind of little finger guns, so I wanted to keep that in this redesign. Since Stella has a little hair tie in her hair, I wanted to have something on this guy's head, so I threw a cap on his head. I also recently found out that I actually kind of like wearing caps, so this was pretty fitting. I also put a little star on top of it just to keep that star theme that are in the last two designs. I think it's kind of funny that I want to put a star in pretty much all these redesigns when Stella's normal design doesn't really have a star anywhere on her. But anyways, I've also included the star on his shoes, and for the outfit I decided to keep the t-shirt but gave him some jeans with some neat shoes instead of a skirt and flats. When I was finally done with it, I actually kind of surprised myself with the way the jeans came out. I actually don't draw somewhat baggy jeans that much, but they actually came out quite a lot better than I thought they would, so I felt a bit happy about that. I wanted his face to be quite happy, welcoming, and kind of chill, so I went with a slightly turned up face with a bright smile and a chill gaze to go with them fingers. I don't know why, but during the sketching part, it took a bit while I was trying to get his arms to look just the way I had it in my head, but I don't know, I just thought it was fun to design this character. I really liked drawing this version. For the colors, it could have taken, I don't know, 30 minutes to figure out what was the perfect shade to get that color scheme I was looking for, so those colors balanced just about right. I mean, I may come back in like 3 years and be like, oh yes, that's artwork. I remember it well. Oh, and I could have done a much better job on those colors, but I was a young girl not knowing of her full potential. I most likely won't talk like that, but I don't know, maybe I'll learn some new things about colors that I can improve on by then. Something else that I found out during this process is how long I spent on these. I've received comments and questions like, oh hey, nice drawing, how long did you spend on it? But I usually get caught up in just drawing sometimes that I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe like 30 minutes or an hour, because I've never thought of timing myself or anything. But when I saw how long I spent on one character, it's like 2 hours. Drawing each of these versions was 2 hours. I mean, it makes sense that this video took a bit to put together, but they were quite fun and creative 2 hours, so it's all good. So the last part of this guy's art is his name. So I came up with some random stuff off the top of my head, and because I already liked space and stars, I tried things like Galaxy Guy or Alpha Star Dude or Dario. That was the first and the worst one. It actually either sounded like cereal or soup name, so I just went for Starbro, and I kind of stuck with that, so that's his name. After I finished, I thought he could have looked like Stella's twin brother or something. The next one was a pretty interesting change from what I was going to do at first. So on my list I was going to draw 20s style Starla. Now in this challenge that meant not drawing her in 20s cartoon style because this is not a style challenge, but drawing her as if she was in the time period of the 20s. But I guess I was distracted or something because by the time I was done with the sketching part I realized what I did. So I just changed my mind on the whole thing and decided to do a medieval princess Starla instead. I had a bunch of references with many different medieval dresses, so I got quite a bit of inspiration for this one. I wanted to make sure to put a star somewhere on it, but it didn't look right putting it on the front of the dress, so I tossed it up on a tiara that I draw later. It was kind of fun doing slightly different hairstyles for each version. When I was younger, I used to have a slight desire to design clothes, so being an artist and designing a bunch of characters kind of lets me do that. And I really like being able to show it, and it's even better seeing that you guys kind of like it too. At first, during the sketching phase, I was going to do a side view for this pose, but I changed it to kind of a 3/4 view. I wanted it to seem calm and majestic, so I put her in a pretty still position with her arms just out in a relaxed and partial extended position. For her face, I wanted it to look pretty calm and peachy, so I had pretty calm, pushy open eyes with a slight smile, so she overall looked pretty happy and calm. Even though I changed the hairstyle, I kept the bangs throughout all the versions here. It was kind of fun to try to replicate this oldish medieval style dress in this artwork. I was thinking about going for a super fancy, puffy ballroom kind of dress, but I don't know, maybe I'll do that later in a different video. When I got to the colors, unlike the other redraws, I didn't really change the shades or tints much, I just added brighter yellows for any golden parts. Also similar to the slashing star version, there are a few pointed parts of her clothes, like the golden part on the middle of her dress. Besides changing the line color, the last thing for this artwork was just giving her a name, which was Lady Starla of Artistia. The fifth and final drawing in this redraw is quite different than the other ones because this version doesn't walk. And that's because she doesn't even have any legs. I tried a few different positions for her, but once I found the right one, my ideas just flowed onto the digit paper, I guess. When I got to sketching her arms and hair, I had quite a bit of fun drawing free flowing hair just going out and flowy and arms just relaxing in the surrounding area. But unfortunately when I was recording it, I paused it, and when I came back, I actually forgot to unpause it, so some of the sketching was skipped, but everything else is still here. Oh yeah, by the way, this version doesn't walk because she is Ghost Starla. This one is also really fun to design. At first I was thinking about going for a kind of creepy look, but I wanted to do that for a different version that I may do for another video. So this one I kind of made her a shy, peachy ghost with not much to do, so she's floating freely from one fun activity to another, minding her own meaningful moments. While I was drawing her, she made me think of a mermaid, and that's one of the ideas I had. You guys can actually tell me if there are any specific alternate universes you'd like to see Starla in. I'd like to see some of your ideas. I'd also like to make a little mini announcement. I recently started a couple of little Pinterest boards with a bit of my art from this channel so far. I only recently started this up, so it's super new. I plan to be putting more there very soon, and I'll put a link to it in the description. Okay, so similar to Lady Starla, this Starla didn't have many color changes, but I did make the colors lighter like what I did for Little Starla, and because she's a ghost, I wanted to make it look like she was glowing, so I added lighter versions of the colors over the original ones, and there isn't a lot of shading. For her eyes, I used a light green just so there's a light little version of her normal eyes there. I tried to make them look a bit glowy like that. And after that, I went back and added a little more detail by adding a darker and more vibrant version of the colors around the edges to make it look like she's glowing from the middle outwards by using a soft brush. Many of the finishing touches made her look very smooth and glowy, and there wasn't a lot of cell shading that I usually put in my other art, but I still kind of liked it when it was done. When I was done with it, I was thinking about grabbing all of the layers and then trying to make it kind of translucent and kind of see-through, but I kind of changed my mind on that since I really liked the way it looked right now, and I kept it the way it was. Okay, so besides the glow effect and changing the color of the lines, the last thing I did with her was give her a name, just like with the other ones. So instead of just going with Ghost Starla, I first set up things like Ghosta or Ghostla or Star Ghost until I came up with the name Gula. I think I would have spent more time with their names if I was going to use them for like a series, but since it's just some quick little 2 hours drawings that I made, I just wanted to give them pretty simple names. And I have them written right next to each of them. Okay, now to show all the AU versions together. So here is Starla, Little Starla, Slashing Star, Star Bro, Lady Starla of Artistia, and Gula. Well, this was a really neat and fun challenge to be the first one on the channel. You guys can tell me in the comments which one you liked the best, and which ones you'd actually like to see next. Even though I mentioned earlier that I have some, I'd really like to see which ones you guys would like to see me do next. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and that you have a stellar day. Bye!